Today we're breaking down what US President Donald Trump has done in office from the time he took over up until now. In his first 2 weeks back in office, Donald Trump has unleashed a storm of executive orders. He's literally rewriting the US policy on immigration, on energy, on gender rights, and global alliances. From border walls to birthright citizenship, here's everything you need to know about what Trump has done since he's gotten into office. Let's start here.
First item that President Trump is signing is the rescission of 78 Biden-era executive actions, executive orders, presidential memoranda, and others. Thank you, sir. Thank you. The second item, President Trump, is a regulatory freeze, as you announced in your speech, preventing bureaucrats from issuing any more regulations until we have full control of this, the government and this administration. Thank you, sir.
Sir, can I have a pen?
The next item, sir, is a freeze on all federal hiring, excepting the military and a number of other excluded categories, again, until full control of the government is achieved and we understand the objectives of government going forward.
There you have it. On his first day in office, on the 20th of January 2025, he signed 26 executive orders. This is including border invasion declaration, and this means that he's allowed to invoke constitutional powers to declare the southern border situation an invasion and authorize military forces to address illegal immigration. Now, this declaration would treat drug cartels as military targets and expand deportation powers. He labeled the immigration flux as an invasion. Another order was to freeze refugees, which basically means that the refugee admissions program in the US has now come to an end. Biological truth order. This basically means that there will now no longer be any gender roles. He's basically saying you're either male or female. Then there's also the launch of Dodge. This is him renaming the US Digital Services as the Department of Government Efficiency with Elon Musk at the helm. And Dodge has launched SpaceX's Dodge 1 mission to the moon, which was launched on the 1st of February, where SpaceX sent a small satellite funded entirely by a cryptocurrency known as Dogecoin to lunar orbit. Now, this mission marked the first commercial lunar payload paid by cryptocurrency. Now, on the 21st of January, Trump signed an executive order withdrawing the US from the World Health Organization. His key reasons were COVID-19 pandemic was handled very wrong, and he says that there was a lot of political bias. He also says that the World Health Organization has expressed regret, highlighting that they have spent 75 years collaborating with the US on smallpox, on polio elimination efforts. But however, Donald Trump said no more. We're pulling back funding and we're done with WHO. Now, WHO has also come back to ask and plead with Donald Trump and other world leaders to say, please, don't let the US pull out its funding, because if the US pulls out its funding, it essentially means that the WHO will not have any financial power or not much power in the world. And we've already seen other countries like Kenya also pull out. And people are saying, hey, why are other countries not pulling out? Because they believe that COVID was a hoax. It was man-made. They believe that it was wrong for COVID to actually happen at that time. Now, that's not all that he's done. He's also set up a new AI infrastructure company where they're investing over $500 billion in the sector. And this is backed by big tech giants in the US like OpenAI, SoftBank, Oracle. And this initiative promises to revolutionize AI and create hundreds of thousands of jobs for Americans so that they can dominate in the AI race. Now, Trump is making it look like other presidents when they come into power, what are they doing with their time? Because just in the few days that he's been president, so much has happened. Take a look at this.
Just hours after President Donald Trump announced a massive $500 billion AI infrastructure project called Stargate, his close advisor and tech mogul Elon Musk publicly cast doubt on the deal's financial viability. Let's have a look at this video and thereafter we'll break it down.
Trump's calling the joint venture between OpenAI, SoftBank, and Oracle Stargate, but Musk isn't sold on the idea. The billionaire head of Doge says OpenAI doesn't actually have the money to back up the deal. ABC News business reporter Alexis Christoforous joins me for more on that story. So, Alexis, we know Elon Musk has been working closely with President Trump, so it's surprising for some that they're not on the same page here. So what do you make of this announcement and Musk's reaction to it?
It's a rare instance where the president and Elon Musk are not on the same page. But to understand this, you need to go back in history a little bit, because Elon Musk co-founded OpenAI with CEO Sam Altman back in 2015. They were colleagues, they were buddies in Silicon Valley. Things have changed over the years. You know, Sam Altman has now turned OpenAI into a for-profit company. When that company was founded, they had agreed that it would be not-for-profit because it would be for the betterment of society. And since then, Musk also now has his own AI company called XAI that could be in competition with OpenAI and ChatGPT. So it'll be interesting to see. I don't know what the end game is here for Musk, but interesting to see how he's going to throw his support behind this or not.
Is there an idea?
Now, that's quite an interesting scenario, because you've got Donald Trump saying $500 billion is going to be invested into the US through this new AI infrastructure company. And Elon Musk, who's the head of Doge or advising Doge, then comes out and says, hold on, I'm not very happy about this because I've got personal feud with Sam Altman, who's the CEO of OpenAI. And the reason why he has that personal feud is because when they started OpenAI, Sam Altman said it's going to be a non-profit company. And Elon Musk donated a lot of funds to them to help them get started. And all of a sudden Sam Altman said, Elon Musk, I want to be as rich as you. So it's no longer non-profit. I'm taking it back and I want to make it a business that actually is for profit. And as a result of that, Elon Musk quickly jumped on when Donald Trump announced that he's setting up this new infrastructure company for AI, and he told them that OpenAI is one of the investors. Elon Musk then came out to say, hold on, do they actually have the money? Are they telling the truth? And that's because he's got a feud with OpenAI. Now, this is something quite interesting. As a president, you must work for the benefit of all your citizens. And I'm seeing that Donald Trump has already encountered one of his big challenges where he's got the richest man in the world, Elon Musk, who he's given a very high and hefty position. And now he's got another young genius who has got all of you using ChatGPT. And as a result of that, they are now saying, hey, they're fighting, and the president is announcing something, and it's so interesting to see this dynamic. But a lot of people are concerned in the US to say what's going to be happening, because a lot of things are happening. Donald Trump is causing a lot of commotion, but a lot of things are happening, which some people are grateful for, to say for the first time they're seeing in the US that there is a president that is actually taking action. I want to know from you, what are some of your highlights? What do you think about the things I've just told you that Donald Trump has been doing? Which of those things do you think are correct? Which do you think are incorrect? Which do you think your own country should maybe be implementing? Let us know in the comment section, as we love reading your comment. Now, another one of the things that he did is he's ordered the deployment of 1,500. This is the 22nd of January. Remember, we're taking you through a timeline of every single thing that he's done ever since he got into office. 1,500 active duty troops at the US-Mexico border. And this is part of his broader crackdown on immigration and drug trafficking. The Trump administration has announced that they're rolling back as well on Obama-era directive that had protected immigrants in sensitive areas such as hospitals, places of worship, courtrooms, funerals, weddings, and schools. Guys, I don't know how to feel about this, because yes, I am against drugs, and I believe that if Mexico is bringing in drugs through the border, he should release these 1,500 duty officials. But now when you're coming for people in hospitals, places of worship, courtrooms, funerals, weddings, and schools, just because they were born in a different country, I don't know, guys. I don't know. And I've heard South Africans say the same thing, to say that foreigners from other countries, Mozambique and Zimbabwe, they should be treated in the same way. I don't know. I believe that yes, I am not in support of illegal immigration, will never be in support, but in sensitive places such as hospitals, funerals, I am not sure that this is the right thing that should be done. But hey, Americans are saying that they're very happy about this, and obviously some are also saying that they're not very happy about this. On the 26th of January, he then came out and announced that the Israel-Lebanon ceasefire will be extended to February 18th. And on the 27th of January, Trump orders have escalated. He signed a Remain in Mexico revived, which means that asylum seekers are now forced to wait outside of the US instead of them actually coming to the US and getting any form of assistance. Take a look at this.
And in a little while, I'll be signing 4 new executive orders. First is that I'm directing our new Secretary of Defense, Pete Hegseth, who's going to be great, by the way. Thank you for the support. Thank you very much for the support. You really did support him greatly. I think he's going to be fantastic. I know him very well. I think he's going to be fantastic. He's what we need to immediately begin the construction of a state-of-the-art Iron Dome missile defense shield, which will be able to protect Americans. You know, we protect other countries, but we don't protect ourselves. And when Ronald Reagan wanted to do it many years ago, luckily we didn't. We didn't have the technology then. It was a concept, but we didn't. And now we have phenomenal technology. You see that with Israel, where out of 319 rockets, they knocked down just about every one of them. So I think the United States is entitled to that, and everything will be made right here in the USA, 100%. And next, to ensure that we have the most lethal fighting force in the world, we will get transgender ideology the hell out of our military. It's going to be gone. In addition, we will stop our service members from being indoctrinated with radical left ideologies such as critical race theory. We're going to stop it. It's already been stopped. It's already been halted, totally halted. And finally, we will offer full reinstatement to any service member who was expelled from the armed forces due to the COVID vaccine mandate. And we will restore them to their former rank with full pay.
There you have it. Another one of these orders is that they have escalated the birthright citizenship redefined, which means children of undocumented parents are stripped of citizenship. This is quite concerning, as many countries have allowed this to happen, but we're seeing America take that away. Now, Homeland Security Forces, they've got a task team that's been launched in 50 states. The military is now authorized to act as ICE agents. Regarding NGOs, he's warning that this is an ethnic cleansing, that the US abandons global climate efforts by Trump exiting the Paris Accord. So there's a lot of things that he's done. He's also expediting permits for oil and gas, mining as well. He's also halted the lease of offshore wind farms. He's calling them useless eyesores. Now, you remember the US was very big on wind farms to say they wanted to do clean energy. However, some people came out and say these windmills are killing eagles as they fly through. The eagles are caught in between the windmills and they obviously are damaged or their wings get affected. Now, he stopped that and he's saying, let's go back to mining. And he's also giving an executive order to end diversity programs in the nation's military. He's reinstating service members who were refused the COVID-19 vaccination, and he's also developing the Iron Dome for America that was signed. Now, I'm a little bit concerned about the diversity programs because Google just yesterday came out and said, we're done. We're no longer doing diversity programs. We're no longer hiring based on those programs. We're done. And it's a bit of a ripple effect from the president when he's saying this. And I'm very concerned because we've made great gains all around the world in terms of discrimination, in terms of women empowerment in the workplace, in terms of fair and equal pay. And the US, if you remember, they had a very big Me Too movement where women were coming out and saying, hey, we're literally abused in Hollywood. And all these diversity programs were coming in to try and bring in that equality or the freedom and fairness that was needed in the workplace. And now when the president is saying this and they're sort of doing away with it everywhere, I'm a little bit concerned that are we not going back to the Me Too movement? Because when the Me Too movement was happening, all executive producers were all acting like they didn't know that these things were happening. Only for us to wake up and realize that many women were being abused in the workplace and they were being forced to do all sorts of things. I'm a little bit concerned that some of these things might not play the way that they should play. That we live in a society where we do have evil people that are willing to take advantage of these sort of things. And these measures like diversity hire assisted to equal out those things in the workplace. I don't know, guys. It's a lot that's been happening. Let's continue looking at what else Trump has done. Now, moving on, he's also come out to say the U.S. Office of Personnel Management. He sent out an email saying all federal employees need to stop working from home. And essentially, he says there's a reformed federal workforce. He says that if you are a reliable, loyal, and trustworthy, you should be going back to work and you'd be encouraged to do so. But he says if you're not and you don't come back to work in person by February 6th, it will be terminated. Now, a lot of people have come up to arms saying that working from home is something they loved. And I'm laughing because I saw all sorts of memes on Twitter where people are saying when you have to work from home, now you have to work from the office. And people are saying, well, you don't actually become more productive because you're in this thing called an office. I want to know from you, what are your thoughts around that? Do you think people are more productive working from home, or do you think they're more productive working in an office? Now, on the 29th of January, Trump then went and signed a settlement agreement for $25 million to end a lawsuit that he brought against Meta. Meta is known as Facebook, after the company suspended his accounts for the January 6th attack on the Capitol. This is what I like about America. In America, if you feel that something wrong has been done to you, you get paid. I mean, just because his account was taken off on Facebook, he's getting $25 million to say, sorry, Mr. President, for taking off your account on Facebook. Here's $25 million to apologize. I wish that in other countries, settlement offers could actually see this, because what this means is that there are repercussions if you take certain decisions. Now, on the 21st of January, the White House Press Secretary Caroline, she said that they're putting tariffs of 25% on imports from Canada and Mexico and 10% on imports from China beginning the 1st of February. And he stated that there'll be no exemptions. Trump also said that he will impose tariffs on the European Union. Now, Mexico has now agreed to send 10,000 troops to the United States and Mexico border in exchange for a pause on the tariffs that would have been implemented early Tuesday. Now, you do notice that Trump is a bit of a bully. It's his way or the highway. And he's essentially saying, hey, Mexico, if you don't do it, I will punish you. And immediately Mexico has now come to say, look, we will send our soldiers to try and rescue the situation. We apologize, or they're stepping back and they're accepting it. Now, the agreement puts the tariffs on hold a month while negotiations are going to continue. Now, Canada has also reached an agreement to delay the tariffs that would have been implemented early Tuesday by 30 days to allow negotiations. Now, what we're seeing is that Joe Biden and Kamala Harris were very soft on other countries. They knew America had the most amount of power in the world. However, they didn't use that power. They were not bullies. And now we're seeing Trump coming in and saying, hold on, we know what America has. If you don't do what we're telling you to do, we will make the life of business people in your country and jobs, we will risk them, and it will affect your nation. This is concerning because these are people's lives. But hey, we're in a new dispensation. Now, just yesterday, we were hearing that a 10 to 15% tariff could be given on all Chinese goods. And this was announced to say that America wants to start tariffs targeted at valued billions of dollars. And China has now retaliated and said, hey, if you do the same thing, we'll also do the same thing. Now, Mexico and Canada are easy targets because they're not as strong. But China, that's a different beast altogether. And we all saw it with TikTok. When TikTok was banned, Donald Trump came back and unfroze or undid the ban because a lot of Americans were complaining to say we actually make money from TikTok. Now, a lot of things are happening in the US, and one of those things that are happening is that we're seeing politics play at a different pace than they've played before.
they have come out with them. They've said that there'll be a 15% tariff on any coal and liquefied natural gas that comes from the United States to China. Now, liquefied natural gas, LNG, it's normally sold on long-term contracts, so it probably won't have an immediate effect. They've also announced a 10% tariff on pickup trucks, agricultural machinery from the US. They've also announced that they will restrict critical minerals, a number of them, including tungsten. Now, this is something that China has done before. It has a real grip on these critical minerals, which are essential for producing things like mobile phones and laptops, something that the entire world needs. They're also going to hit some US companies. They're launching an antitrust investigation into Google, and another couple of US companies are also going to be sanctioned. But what this is all about is really the message that China is trying to deliver to the United States. And it's clear China is saying that it is not going to take this 10% tariff that Donald Trump has imposed on China lying down. Up until this point, they had been relatively restrained in the language that they had used towards the United States. Now they're getting stronger. They've said that it is in bad nature, that it is trade protectionism and unilateralism. But what we're expecting to see in the next few days is a telephone conversation between US President Donald Trump and China's President Xi Jinping. These tariffs, from the Chinese perspective, would not go into force until the 10th of February. So there is still some time, a week perhaps, when there could be an intervention or a grand deal or a temporary reprieve, as we've seen in the case of both Canada and Mexico. But for now, though, China has said what it intends to do if the United States doesn't play ball from its perspective.
There you have it. China's not willing to take Donald Trump's threats lying down. They're saying, hey, we'll launch an investigation into Google. We'll deal with your biggest companies. And they're also saying that we'll also do the same thing. We know that the iPhone that we all purchase is made from products that are shipped to China from the Congo, which is another episode that we did where we explained the situation that Apple should be looked in with a close needle as to what's going on in the Congo. So have a look at a video on this channel and ensure that you understand what's going on in the DRC Congo. And remember to subscribe so that we can continue to educate you on what's going on globally. Now, this is very interesting because Mexico and Canada are easy targets. It's a little bit like a matric or a grade 12 student bullying a primary school kid. Because Mexico and Canada are small countries. But China, that's a country that can take on America should needs be. And now China's saying we're not going to take these tariffs lying down. We'll launch investigations into your companies and we will also ensure that we retaliate. Now that is not all. We've also now seen that the Secretary of State, Mr. Marco, has announced that he is the acting head of the USAID. And as Elon Musk, the Department of Dodge, they're basically saying that they want to shut down the USAID. On their website, the social media accounts were taken off. The staff were ordered to work remotely with over 10,000 employees, including contractors. They've been placed on administrative leave or termination. This is quite concerning because what we're now seeing is that they are now firing or letting people go. What I understand about any government is that you cannot play with people's jobs. It is their livelihoods. So it is something that a lot of Americans are very unhappy about, but let us see where this is going to go. Now, moving on to more interesting news, we have a situation here. Trump has called for bilateral meetings with the Israel Prime Minister, Mr. Benjamin, at the White House. And essentially, they are basically saying that the US will take over Gaza. They want to dismantle weapons. They want to develop it into a Riviera of the Middle East. And Benjamin is saying or smiled at all of this while the Arab nations have erupted. Saudi Arabia has slammed the plan as unacceptable, reaffirming their support for a Palestinian state. And Hamas has accused Trump of ethnic cleansing, vowing that Gaza's people won't leave. Even the US allies like Egypt and Jordan, who are key to Trump's resettlement idea, have already rejected displacing the Palestinians. Now, legal experts are warning that this violates international law. They're saying that Trump's proposal to take over Gaza, it risks unprecedented legal, humanitarian, and geopolitical fallout. They're saying that this might destabilize the Middle East and undermine the US. Take a look at this.
The U.S. will take over the Gaza Strip, and we will do a job with it, too. We'll own it and be responsible for dismantling all of the dangerous unexploded bombs and other weapons on the site, level the site and get rid of the destroyed buildings, level it out, create an economic development that will supply unlimited numbers of jobs and housing for the people of the area. Do a real job. Do something different. Just can't go back. If you go back, it's going to end up the same way it has for 100 years. I'm hopeful that this ceasefire could be the beginning of a larger and more enduring peace that will end the bloodshed and killing once and for all. With the same goal in mind, my administration has been moving quickly to restore trust in the alliance and rebuild American strength throughout the region. And we've really done that. We're a respected nation again. A lot's happened in the last couple of weeks. We are actually a very respected nation again. I ended the last administration's de facto arms embargo on over $1 billion in military assistance for Israel. And I'm also pleased to announce that this afternoon, the United States withdrew from the anti-Semitic UN Human Rights Council and ended all of the support for the UN Relief and Works Agency, which funneled money to Hamas and which was very disloyal to humanity. Today, I also took action to restore a maximum pressure policy on the Iranian regime.
There you have it. Donald Trump has really brought in a lot of policies ever since he started. I must commend him for one thing. For a man of his age to be able to implement and think about all these policies in such a short space of time, it shows that he's working very hard. But my biggest concern is the Gaza Strip. When you have countries like Saudi Arabia, the United Arabs, which are very wealthy and have proven to the world that they are very ambitious and they're willing to do things against all odds. When you have them saying that they are not happy about him wanting to take over the Gaza Strip, and you have him going out there and saying these statements to the world, we might be headed to a war. We might be headed to a war. Donald Trump, the Arab nations, together with a lot of nations that might include South Africa, since South Africa went to court, the ICC, for the Palestinian-Gaza situation, we might be headed to a war. I think for myself, my biggest concern is perhaps we need to accept that a leader must speak in terms of formalities. Maybe Donald Trump's approach of just speaking from the hip, letting it all out, it might lead all nations to war. I want to know from you, what are your thoughts? I don't want to conclude for you. I want to know your thoughts. What do you think? Is his strategy working? Is it not working? Do you see the Arab nations sitting down and taking it? Do you see him winning? Do you see him doing what he says he wants to do, turning the Gaza Strip into some entrepreneurial venture and displacing people? Do you see him following through on all these ideals? Do you also see the US accepting some of them? Do you see the world accepting some of them? We're now in an unprecedented time where world leaders can no longer sit down and react. World leaders are now forced to come out and actually show bravery, the nation's strength and understanding. We're also seeing China saying, we're not just going to allow the US to give us tariffs. We must act back and we must also do something. And they're also coming out and giving their own conditions and threats. We're in an unprecedented time and we want to make sure that you are educated and you know what's going on all around the world. So make sure that you subscribe, share this video with some people that don't actually know or are aware of what's going on, and let us know in the comment section, what are your thoughts? Are we headed for war or are we headed for a more peaceful world? That's the question.